I'm talking with Quentin Rhodes, who, of course, a local attorney, also representing Art Whittick. And I noticed that you sent us an article from the Wall Street Journal entitled "A Speech Mugging in Montana." Could you describe what this is all about?
Well, the Wall Street Journal is just commenting on the sort of political prosecution of Art Whittick here in Montana based on, the political differences that he has had with Governor Bullock and Governor Bullock's agenda in the Montana legislature.
Now, what has been what's been the cause of the rancor between the two?
Well, Mr. Whittick is sort of an arch conservative. He runs afoul of both the establishment Republicans and certainly the Democrats with respect to things like crony capitalism and, the Obamacare and the funding of that. And, pretty much everything along the line, he is voting for kind of the conservative, libertarian, limited government, low tax point of view. And when it comes to the big government agenda, there's a lot of people in both parties who oppose him on that, and they've been using the opportunity of the appointment of John Modell as the Commissioner of Political Practices to implement a campaign against Whittick to tarnish his name as a good, honest representative of his constituents.
And this goes back to the 2010 campaign, where Mr. Modell accused Art Whittick of accepting illegal campaign contributions from a conservative organization, right?
Yeah, that's right. Mr. Whittick's law firm represented Western Tradition Partnership in its lawsuit against the state of Montana to bring the ruling of Citizens United to the law of Montana. And Governor Bullock opposed him on that and lost. And, there are a lot of interests in Montana who are against Citizens United and are dead set in the agenda of making Mr. Whittick sort of an example that if you oppose the powers that be and you stand up against the establishment, then they're going to make an example out of you.
It states here in the article that it says here, Montana is known for its restrictive and illegal campaign finance laws. So obviously, it's an opinion piece, right?
I don't know if you recall, but in the U.S. Supreme Court sort of slapped aside the reasoning of the Montana Supreme Court in trying to rule that Citizens United doesn't apply in Montana, that somehow we're the 49 other states might be subject to the U.S. Constitution, but we're not. And it was a pretty terse sort of almost a reprimand that was given to the Montana Supreme Court by the U.S. Supreme Court in view of that. And I think that's kind of the genesis of the idea that Montana's campaign finance law was illegal.
Now, you are representing Mr. Whittick, is that correct?
That's right.
And tell me...
I'm defending him in the action.
I'm sorry, you began to cut out there. You're defending him in what?
I'm defending him in the civil action that John Modell filed against him.
All right, and where is that in process right now?
Well, right now there are motions for summary judgment that have been filed. We filed a motion for summary judgment to throw the case out based on the fact that although Modell contends that there was coordination between Mr. Whittick and some national conservative organizations, he has been able to produce no correspondence whatsoever, but in literally tens of thousands of emails, he's been able to produce no correspondence whatsoever between Mr. Whittick and any of the agents of these national organizations. And he's been able to produce no witnesses who said, yeah, I overheard Mr. Whittick talking with party X, Y, or Z to coordinate with and request these services, in-kind services that Mr. Whittick wasn't going to pay for. I mean, there's nothing. There's absolutely no communications and no evidence of any communications between Whittick and these national organizations. But Mr. Modell insists that he's an expert on the subject, and that even though he has found no evidence, that's the proof that there was a conspiracy.
Now, when do you think this is all going to be resolved?
Well, Well, as it stands right now, we have a jury trial scheduled for March 28th in Helena, and that should take a couple of weeks. There are a number of procedural issues that need to be resolved between now and then, but we expect that a judgment will be entered sometime between now and June.